As you can see, it's another foggy morning on the farm, and I was out doing chores this morning thinking about the last video that we did where I showed you my camera settings, and then I thought maybe I should back up and show you how I set up the menu on my camera. So I think we'll do that today. Good boy. "99% of the time I shoot in manual mode. Manual mode gives me total control over my camera, my exposure, my speed, my ISO, my depth of field. Can shoot if you're more comfortable shooting in aperture priority. Shooting in aperture priority lets you set your depth of field, your f-stop, and your camera does everything else for you. So if you're just getting started and you're not comfortable yet enough with changing the other settings of your camera, then start in aperture priority. I'm going to hit the menu button, and the first thing that comes up is the playback menu. Really the only thing I'm going to do right here is what I do. You can rotate the image tall on or off. I keep it off simply because when I take a vertical shot, I want to see the vertical playback as it is and not have my camera rotate it and I get a smaller image. Moving into the playback menu, I have a full frame camera, so I always shoot full frame unless I'm going to do some wildlife and I want to move it to DX to crop. Also, my image quality is raw. The reason I shoot in RAW is because I run everything through post-processing, and this gives me the largest file. You can shoot in JPEG if you don't want to do any post-processing and run your images through an editing program. Next thing I do is I leave my white balance on auto because I run everything through an editing program. I can change my white balance in post-processing. If you're shooting in JPEG, where your camera is doing a lot of that color grading for you, then you can play with these other settings. My picture control, I just leave in standard or neutral. If you're shooting in JPEG, you can try these other picture controls, maybe shoot in vivid. It will give you a little more color saturation to your JPEG image. If you have a vignette control, if you're shooting in JPEG, you might want to add that vignette to your image, but where I do post-processing, I leave this off because I am going to make that decision myself. I use matrix metering. It's probably the most even metering. Landscape photography, I use a single point AF. If I'm shooting wildlife, of course, I would want to go to continuous AF. And if I'm doing some astrophotography, I will use manual focus. If you have vibration reduction, if you're hand holding, leave that on. If you're on a tripod, you can shut that off. Our color space, you can choose sRGB or Adobe RGB. I've been shooting in Adobe and really like the colors that I get. For landscape photography, I always use a single point focus. I don't want the camera to choose where it focuses. Those are just a few basics of how I set up my camera. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to ask questions or comment below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.